Hello, everyone. As we stand at the dawn of 2025, let me ask you a question. How often have you felt like you're running a race that isn't even yours? In a world brimming with noise, social media feeds, societal expectations, and comparisons, it's easy to lose sight of the one person who truly matters, yourself. Today, I want to talk about what it means to focus on yourself in 2025. Not in a selfish way, but in a way that reclaims your power, your story, and your life. Let's dive in. Focusing on yourself begins with a journey inward, and that journey requires vulnerability. It's tempting to think of vulnerability as a weakness, something to avoid or hide. After all, we live in a world that glorifies strength, resilience, and perfection. But here's the truth. Vulnerability is not the opposite of strength. It is strength. It is the courage to show up, be seen, and be honest about who you are, even when it's uncomfortable or uncertain. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you're giving yourself permission to be authentic. Too often, we wear masks to fit into the roles and expectations that others have for us. We become so good at pretending to have it all together that we lose sight of what's real. Vulnerability strips away those masks. It's about standing in the truth of your experiences, no matter how messy or imperfect they may be, and saying, "This is me." It's in that raw honesty that you discover your true self. And it's only from this place of authenticity that you can begin to focus on yourself in a meaningful way. Think about the relationships you have with others. Vulnerability is what creates connection. It's not the polished moments that bring people closer, it's the shared humanity in admitting, "I struggle too." The same principle applies to the relationship you have with yourself. You can't truly connect with who you are if you're unwilling to face your fears, failures, and flaws. It's in these moments of self-reflection that you build trust with yourself. And trust is the foundation of self-focus. Being vulnerable also means allowing yourself to feel. In a culture that often tells us to push through and stay positive, we can become experts at suppressing our emotions. But burying your feelings doesn't make them go away. It only disconnects you from your inner self. Vulnerability invites you to sit with those emotions, whether they're sadness, anger, joy, or fear. It reminds you that all feelings are valid and that experiencing them fully is a sign of strength, not weakness. Focusing on yourself through vulnerability requires a willingness to let go of perfectionism. Perfection is an illusion, a trap that keeps you stuck in fear of failure or judgment. When you're vulnerable, you accept that you don't have to have all the answers. You give yourself grace to make mistakes and learn from them. Vulnerability is the antidote to the harsh self-criticism that so often paralyzes growth. It's a reminder that you are worthy, not because of what you achieve, but simply because you are. Vulnerability is about liberation. It frees you from the need to perform, prove, or pretend. It's about standing in your truth and embracing all the complexities of who you are. When you make vulnerability a part of your life, you open the door to self-compassion, growth, and connection. You begin to focus on yourself not as a project to perfect, but as a person to nurture and love. And that is where true transformation begins. Defining success on your terms is one of the most liberating and transformative acts of self-focus you can undertake. In a world that bombards us with external markers of achievement, it's easy to adopt society's version of success without ever questioning whether it aligns with who we are. But the truth is, success is not one size fits all. It is deeply personal, shaped by your values, aspirations, and what brings you fulfillment. To focus on yourself, you must first reclaim the definition of success and make it uniquely yours. Success is often tied to external validation, earning a high salary, climbing the career ladder, or gaining recognition. While these achievements may be meaningful for some, they are not universal. The problem arises when we chase these goals because we think we're supposed to, not because they resonate with us. This disconnection can leave us feeling unfulfilled, even when we achieve everything we thought we wanted. That's why it's crucial to take a step back and ask yourself, what does success mean to me? What truly matters in my life? To define success on your terms, you need to start with your values. What do you stand for? What principles guide your decisions? When your definition of success is grounded in your core values, it becomes a compass that keeps you aligned with what's meaningful to you. For some, success might mean building a life rich in relationships, creativity, or personal growth. For others, it might mean making a positive impact on their community or finding balance between work and family. There is no right or wrong answer, only what feels authentic to you. It's also important to remember that your definition of success may evolve over time. As you grow and your priorities shift, so too might your vision of what it means to live a successful life. This flexibility is a strength, not a weakness. It shows that you're attuned to your own needs and willing to adapt as you navigate life's changes. Allow yourself the freedom to redefine success as often as necessary. One of the biggest challenges in defining success on your terms is resisting the urge to compare yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's especially insidious when it comes to measuring success. Social media, in particular, can make it seem like everyone else is living a picture-perfect life, achieving goals you didn't even know you wanted. But other people's lives are not the standard by which you should measure your own. When you focus on yourself and your unique path, you free yourself from the pressure to keep up with others. Defining success on your terms requires you to celebrate progress, not just outcomes. Success isn't a destination. It's a journey. Every step you take toward living in alignment with your values is a success in itself. By recognizing and appreciating these moments, you build a life that feels authentic and fulfilling, no matter what the world says. Setting boundaries is often misunderstood as an act of rejection or selfishness, but in truth, boundaries are one of the most profound acts of love you can offer to yourself and to others. They're not about building walls or shutting people out, but about creating spaces where healthy relationships can thrive and where you can protect the energy and time needed to nurture your own growth and well-being. In focusing on yourself, boundaries become a powerful tool to honor who you are and what you need. Setting boundaries is about self-respect. It's recognizing that your time, energy, and emotions are finite resources and treating them as valuable. Too often, we feel compelled to say yes to every request, fulfill every obligation, and meet everyone's expectations, even when it drains us. This can lead to burnout, resentment, and a sense of losing yourself in the process. Boundaries help you reclaim that energy. They allow you to prioritize what truly matters to you, whether it's pursuing your passions, spending time with loved ones, or simply resting when you need it. What makes boundaries an act of love is the way they foster clarity and honesty in relationships. When you set a boundary, you're communicating your needs and expectations clearly. This isn't about controlling others, it's about giving them the opportunity to understand you better and to engage with you in a way that is respectful and healthy. It also invites them to set their own boundaries, creating a dynamic that is built on mutual respect and understanding. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to putting others' needs of your own. You might worry about disappointing people or being seen as unkind. But the truth is, when you set boundaries, you're not just protecting yourself, you're also protecting your relationships. Without boundaries, resentment can build, and over time, it can erode the connection you have with others. By being honest about what you can and cannot give, you ensure that the energy you do invest in relationships comes from a place of love, not obligation. It's also important to recognize that boundaries are not about permanence. They can evolve as your needs and circumstances change. What worked for you a year ago might no longer serve you today, and that's okay. The key is to remain attuned to your own well-being and to adjust your boundaries as needed. This ongoing practice of self-awareness ensures that you stay aligned with your priorities and values. Setting boundaries is an act of love because it allows you to show up as your best self. When you respect your own limits, you create space for self-care, personal growth, and joy. And when you operate from a place of fulfillment and balance, you're better able to support and uplift those around you. Boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges to a healthier, more authentic version of yourself in your relationships. Owning your narrative means taking control of the story you tell yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, and what your life means. It's about rejecting the labels, expectations, and judgments that others may have placed on you and reclaiming the power to define your identity on your own terms. This process is not just an act of self-focus, it's an act of liberation. By owning your narrative, you step out of the shadows of other people's perceptions and into the light of your truth. From an early age, many of us are handed stories about who we are supposed to be. These stories might come from our families, our culture, or society at large. They might sound like, you're not smart enough to do that, people like us don't succeed, or this is the way things have always been. Over time, these narratives can become internalized, shaping the way we see ourselves and limiting what we believe is possible. Owning your narrative means recognizing these stories for what they are, opinions, not facts, and choosing to rewrite them. Rewriting your narrative starts with self-awareness. It requires you to pause and examine the beliefs you hold about yourself. Are they truly yours, or are they inherited from someone else's expectations? Are they empowering, or are they holding you back? This kind of introspection can be uncomfortable because it forces you to confront parts of yourself that you may have avoided. But it's also profoundly freeing. When you understand where your current story comes from, you gain the clarity to decide whether it's a story you want to keep or one you're ready to change. Owning your narrative also involves embracing the full complexity of your experiences. Life is rarely a straight line, and your story likely includes moments of failure, loss, or struggle. These moments do not define you, but they are an integral part of your journey. By owning them, you take away their power to shame or diminish you. Instead, you can view them as chapters that have shaped your resilience, your wisdom, and your growth. Your story becomes richer and more authentic when you honor every part of it, not just the polished highlights. Taking ownership of your narrative means becoming the author of your life. It's about consciously deciding what you want your next chapter to look like. This doesn't mean you can control every outcome or avoid challenges, but it does mean you can choose how you respond to them. You can decide what values will guide you, what goals you will pursue, and what kind of person you want to be. This sense of agency is empowering because it reminds you that you are not a passive character in someone else's story. You are the protagonist of your own. Owning your narrative is an act of self-love and self-respect. It's a declaration that your voice matters and that your life is yours to shape. When you focus on yourself by owning your story, you create a foundation for living authentically, courageously, and purposefully. In a world that often glorifies big achievements and monumental success, it's easy to overlook the power of small wins. We get so caught up in chasing the next big goal that we forget to acknowledge the progress we're making along the way. But celebrating small wins is not just a nice to have practice, it's a vital part of staying motivated, building confidence, and maintaining a sense of fulfillment. When you shift your focus to recognizing these moments, you create a mindset that values growth, resilience, and consistency. Small wins are the building blocks of bigger successes. Every significant achievement is made up of countless smaller steps that lead you there. These small milestones might seem insignificant at first glance, sending an email, finishing a single workout, or spending 5 minutes journaling. But each one is a step forward, a demonstration of your effort, and a sign that you're moving in the right direction. By celebrating these wins, you acknowledge the importance of the process, not just the outcome. This mindset shift helps you stay present and grounded, reminding you that progress is happening even when the destination still feels far away. Celebrating small wins is also a powerful way to build momentum. Success breeds success, and when you take the time to recognize your achievements, no matter how small, you create a sense of accomplishment that propels you forward. It's like giving yourself a pat on the back a moment to say, I'm doing it, and I'm proud of myself. This positive reinforcement boosts your motivation, making it easier to keep going when the path gets challenging. Over time, these small wins accumulate, creating a ripple effect that can lead to transformative change. Another benefit of celebrating small wins is the impact it has on your mindset. When you focus solely on big goals, it's easy to feel overwhelmed or discouraged, especially when progress feels slow. Small wins shift your attention to what you've already accomplished rather than what's still ahead. They remind you that you're capable, that you're showing up for yourself, and that every effort counts. This practice cultivates a growth mindset where you see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow rather than as roadblocks. Celebrating small wins doesn't have to be elaborate or time-consuming. It can be as simple as taking a moment to pause and reflect, jotting down your accomplishment in a journal, or sharing your success with a friend or loved one. The act of acknowledgement is what matters. Over time, this practice trains your brain to notice and appreciate progress, rewiring your perspective to focus on what's going right. Most importantly, celebrating small wins fosters a sense of self-compassion and joy. It's a reminder that life is not just about reaching the finish line, but about finding meaning and satisfaction in the journey. When you take the time to honor your efforts, you cultivate a deeper appreciation for yourself and your growth. And in doing so, you create a foundation of positivity and resilience that helps you stay focused, inspired, and aligned with your goals. The inner critic can be one of the most powerful forces that stand in the way of self-focused growth and happiness. It is that voice inside your head that constantly judges, undermines, and questions your abilities, often telling you that you're not good enough, not smart enough, or not worthy of success. It thrives on self-doubt, fear, and insecurity. And if you allow it, it can hold you back from pursuing your dreams, expressing your true self, and even enjoying your accomplishments. Silencing the inner critic is one of the most essential steps in focusing on yourself and creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. Silencing the inner critic is recognizing that this voice is not the truth. It's a collection of negative beliefs, often rooted in past experiences, societal pressures, or unkind comparisons. The inner critic tends to exaggerate flaws and ignore strengths, creating a distorted view of reality. It's important to separate this voice from your true self, because the inner critic is not a reflection of who you really are. When you understand that this voice comes from fear and not from wisdom, you can begin to detach from its messages and stop letting it dictate your actions or decisions. Once you can recognize the inner critic's presence, the next step is to challenge it. Start by questioning the validity of its claims. When it tells you that you're not capable or that you're going to fail, ask yourself, is this really true? What evidence do I have to support this belief? Often when you examine the inner critic's messages, you'll realize that they are based on assumptions, past mistakes, or unrealistic expectations. In challenging these beliefs, you create space for more constructive and compassionate thoughts. You begin to replace the negative self-talk with a kinder, more empowering voice. Another powerful strategy for silencing the inner critic is to practice self-compassion. Instead of berating yourself for making a mistake or not being perfect, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. If your friend were struggling, you wouldn't tell them they're worthless or incapable. You'd encourage them, remind them of their strengths, and offer support. You can do the same for yourself. By responding to your own struggles with empathy instead of judgment, you begin to quiet the inner critic and replace its harshness with self-love and encouragement. It's also important to recognize that the inner critic often flourishes in moments of stress or uncertainty. When you're overwhelmed or facing a challenging situation, the inner critic's voice can become louder and more persistent. In these moments, it's crucial to take a step back and give yourself the space to breathe. Practicing mindfulness or taking a few moments for deep reflection can help you regain perspective. Remind yourself that not every thought you have is true, and you don't have to believe everything your mind tells you. With time and practice, you can learn to let those critical thoughts pass without attaching any weight to them. Silencing the inner critic requires you to create a new narrative, one that is rooted in self-acceptance, possibility, and love. It's about understanding that you are worthy, capable, and deserving of success, regardless of the imperfections you may have. When you quiet the inner critic, you make room for a more positive and empowering voice, the voice that encourages you to step forward, try new things, and believe in your potential. By shifting the way you talk to yourself, you unlock the freedom to focus on yourself in a way that is grounded in self-belief and compassion. And in doing so, you create the space for growth, fulfillment, and happiness. In a world that often celebrates constant busyness and connection, finding strength in solitude can seem counterintuitive. We are taught to seek out company, to stay busy, to keep moving forward in the hustle and bustle of life. But there is immense power in solitude and opportunity to reconnect with yourself, gain clarity, and recharge. Embracing solitude is not about isolating yourself from the world. It's about creating the space to nurture your own well-being, reflect on your journey, and grow in ways that would be impossible when constantly surrounded by noise and distractions. Solitude provides the freedom to listen to your own thoughts without interruption. In the quiet, you can hear your true desires, your fears, and your hopes. It is in these moments of stillness that you can discover what really matters to you without the influence of external voices or societal pressures. Often we go through life so quickly, trying to meet expectations and fit into predefined roles, that we lose touch with our authentic selves. Solitude allows you to reconnect with who you are beneath all the layers of obligation and expectation. It offers you the chance to reflect on your values, your goals, and the person you want to become. Being alone with yourself also gives you the opportunity to cultivate self-awareness. Without the distractions of the outside world, you are free to explore your thoughts, emotions, and experiences in a deeper way. This self-reflection can lead to profound insights about your behavior, your relationships, and the patterns that shape your life. By spending time alone, you can uncover limiting beliefs, confront fears, and recognize the areas where you need to grow. This clarity helps you make better decisions, set healthier boundaries, and move forward with more confidence and purpose. Solitude also provides a space for creativity to flourish. When you're constantly surrounded by people, input, and noise, it can be difficult to hear your own ideas and inspirations. Being alone allows your mind to wander, to explore new possibilities, and to generate ideas that might otherwise be buried. Many of history's greatest thinkers, writers, and artists have credited solitude as the birthplace of their most innovative ideas. When you remove yourself from external influences, you allow your own unique perspective to emerge. Solitude becomes a sanctuary for creativity, a space where you can fully engage with your inner thoughts and bring them to life. Another important aspect of solitude is its ability to help you recharge and find balance. In a world that constantly demands more and more work, more relationships, more commitments, it's easy to lose yourself in the process. Solitude provides the chance to step back, breathe, and restore your energy. It's in these quiet moments that you can truly rest, replenish your mental and emotional reserves, and come back to the world with a renewed sense of purpose. Far from being a sign of weakness, taking time for yourself is an essential act of self-care that allows you to show up fully in all aspects of your life. Solitude allows you to find strength in your own company. Learning to be content and comfortable alone is one of the most empowering experiences you can have. It's in solitude that you learn to trust yourself, to rely on your own wisdom and intuition, and to embrace your own worth. When you can find peace and strength in being alone, you create a foundation that doesn't depend on others for validation or fulfillment. This independence allows you to navigate life with confidence and clarity, knowing that you are enough just as you are. Finding strength in solitude is not about avoiding others or retreating from the world. It's about taking the time to reconnect with your own inner self. It is in these moments of solitude that you can reflect, grow, recharge, and create. It is a space for clarity, creativity, and healing where you can become the person you are meant to be,